Some of our members have sent me the transcript of a clip. The transcript makes mention of Muqassir. Taqsir means to fall short, and in the context of Shi'ism, a Muqassir is someone who is believed to have fallen short, understanding the true station of the Imams of al-Bayt alayhim afdalus salati wassalam. Whenever you hear the word Muqassir coming out of the mouth of a traditional sectarian Imami speaker, when you hear him use the term Taqsir, there is always a background to it that I want you to understand. Once you understand this background, you will understand why al-Islaah scholarship would seem like they are Muqassirin. They have fallen short of understanding the true position of the Imams of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. This is not something to be surprised. It's just like how we as Muslims would appear Muqassirin to Christians. Muqassirin in the matter of Isa. The Christian believes in maqamat which are based on iftiraz, which are based on invented lies, such as the iftira that he is a son of God or that he's one of a trinity. All of these are invented fabrications with which they sought to elevate the position of Isa. So naturally, for a Christian who believes in these maqamat, we the Muslims will appear muqassirin. We tell the Christian, but we believe in Isa, the recipient of Injil, born of a miraculous virgin birth. We have so much common ground. He'll say, yeah, but you don't believe he's God. You don't believe he's the son of God. You don't believe in our iftiraz. And because you don't believe in our iftiraz, to us, the Christian, you seem like a muqassir. This is in the context of Christianity. When you hear the word muqassir on the mouth of a 12er imami of this day and age, then I need you to understand the background of this. You will see in this article, we have shown through the testimony of the highest level 12er Imami Shia scholars themselves that they have said وأن أكثر ما يعد اليوم من ضروريات المذهب في أوصاف الأئمة عليهم السلام كان القول به معدودا في العهد السابق من الغلو. He says, in fact, most of what we believe now about the Ahlul Bayt, the Qudama, the early classical Shia Imami scholars used to call it ghulu, deviant ideological extremism in their time. After this, I have shown you testimony after testimony where they repeat the same thing. بل أكثر ما نعتقده الآن في أهل البيت عليهم السلام كانوا يومئذ يسمونه غلوا. This is Ayatollah Mamaqani. Then you come to Ayatollah Burujardi. He says the same thing. He says وبالجملة الظاهر أن القدماء كانوا مختلفين في المسائل الأصولية فربما كان شيء عند بعضهم فاسدا أو كفرا أو غلوا وعند آخرين عدمه بل مما يجب الاعتقاد به فينبغي التأمل في جرحهم بأمثال الأمور المذكورة. He says in summation, it is clearly manifest that the Qudama, the early and classical Shia Imami scholars, held differing beliefs in creedal matters so that it could be said that something was considered to be fasid, invalid and corrupt, or kufr or ghulu according to some of them, while according to others it would not be so. In fact, it would be regarded as something obligatory to believe in by these others. So do you see, within the 12er Imami sect, there is a world war between the classical, original 12er Imami scholars and the current day 12er Imami sectarian scholarship and laity. Those 12er scholars, if they saw the 12ers of today, they would say, you people are all ghulat and mufawwida. They were very strict classical scholars. Some of them would even say, we don't believe in your Islam aslan, which we at al-Islah don't accept. This is an extreme position. As long as a person is saying La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, we don't expel such people from Islam. Kitabul I'tiqadat by Shaykh al-Saduq. He says وعلامة المفوضة والغلاة وأصنافهم نسبتهم مشايخ قم وعلمائهم إلى القول بالتقصير. He says the signature sign of the mufawwida and the ghulat in general وأصنافهم and their different subgroups and categories. He says their sign is that you will find them attributing the scholars of Qum, yani the classical scholars of Qum, you will find the ghulat and the mufawwida always referring to them إلى القول بالتقصير, towards adhering to taqsir. Yani one of the ways in which you can recognize a ghali and a mufawwid is if he calls the scholars of Qum, such as Shaykh al-Saduq, such as the teachers of Shaykh al-Saduq, if he refers to them as a muqassir, as someone who has fallen short of recognizing the true station of the Imams, then you should know automatically that he's a ghali and a mufawwid. Now, why is this relevant to our discourse today? If Shaykh al-Saduq came back to this world today, the 21st century, he would look at all these speakers who are using this term muqassir and he would say the same thing about them. He would say that these speakers who are throwing around the label of taqsir and muqassir, they are actually doing so because they themselves have fallen into exaggeration when it comes to the station and position of the Imams, and this is why they are now labeling and targeting those who disagree with them and those who differ with them as muqassirin, as people who have fallen short. And so there is this world war going on. Those classical scholars are looking at today's 12er scholars and your average 12er, and they would say that you people, your aqidah is ghulu. Whereas today's scholars and today's 12er lay, if they were to be exposed to the aqidah of the classical 12er Imami scholars, they would say these are muqassirin. And Shaykh al-Saduq, what does he warn you? Shaykh al-Saduq says, if you see anyone referring to the classical Qummis as a muqassir, that's the biggest sign that the person who is referring to them as a muqassir himself is a ghali. Once you apply the principle that the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam gave us for sifting through the hadith, which is compare every hadith against the Quran, this entire aqidah collapses, gets disintegrated. But notwithstanding all of that, because sectarian Twelvers believe in lies about the Imams, which were discredited and rejected by the Imams themselves, by the way, in 12er Imami sources, because the 12ers have accepted these lies in many cases, when they look at someone like us, for example, who rejects these iftira'at and these falsehoods based on Allah's testimony in the Quran negating these falsehoods, when they look at us and they see that we reject this, they say, you are Muqassir. You have fallen short of recognizing the true status of the Imams. So let us continue. He says, yeah, I believe in the books of the Shia. We actually don't say that we believe in the books of the Shia just like that as a blanket or absolute statement. No. We have a very, very critical and skeptical approach to the Hadith books. And this critical approach is imposed on us by the teachings of the Imams of Ahlul-Bayt themselves. If you go to this article, how reliable is our Hadith corpus? If you go at the very end, we have presented the Hadith where the Imams say, do not accept in our name anything that goes against the Quran. Because when we narrate, we always narrate a Hadith that are in agreement with the Quran and in agreement with the Sunnah. And they also mention that the followers of Abu al-Khattab, yani the Ghulat, are continuing to add these fabricated narrations to the books of the companions of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam to this very day. We have mentioned the primary classical source for this hadith, and then in authentication we have told you how this narration has been authenticated by numerous high-profile maraji', Ayatollah Sayyid Abul Qasim al-Khuy, Ayatollah Sayyid Ali al-Sistani. It's also mentioned by Ayatollah Sayyid Shaykh Muhammad Baqir al-Sadr, Ayatollah Sayyid Mahmud al-Hashimi al-Shahrudi, Shaykh al-Allama Hassan Abd al-Satir. All of these scholars have authenticated them, and after that presented the analysis which says that the Imams of Ahlul Bayt warned the Shia that the books of their most trustworthy companions have been compromised by ghulu. So now fear Allah and don't accept anything in the books of hadith. Even if 4,000 narrations are saying something, until the Quran confirms it, until you get backing for it from the established sunnah of the Prophet, or until it is confirmed by some other compelling reality that is known to be true with certainty, you cannot accept any hadith in the 12er Imami corpus. So yeah, what do you believe? The Imams are just righteous scholars. The Imams are righteous scholars is mentioned in the Shia books itself, the debate that took place. So Ibn Abi Ya'fur said that the Awsiya are righteous, pious scholars. And Abdullah bin Abi Ya'fur is someone who is a very highly distinguished companion. So would you call him a Muqassir for saying that the Imams are righteous and pious scholars? Whereas notice it is Mu'alla al-Khunais, the ghali, who says no, the Imams are prophets. He's trying to give them a divinely appointed station. So they entered upon Sadiq alayhi salam. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, I disassociate myself from him who claims we are prophets. If claiming that Imams are righteous and pious scholars was also something wrong, don't you think the Imam will say, and I also disassociate myself from you, O Abdullah, because you only believe I'm a righteous and pious scholar. And in reality, I'm much more than that. I have a divine mandate. I have this, I have that. They enter into the presence of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. They ask him, Afikum imamun muftaradu ta'a? Is there among you an Imam whose obedience is obligatory? Faqala la. He said no. So then the narrator says, but there are narrators who are trustworthy in Kufa, and they are claiming that you have given fatwa, that you are a divinely appointed guide, and they are pious people. فَغَضِبَ Abu Abdullah alayhi salam. So Imam Sadiq alayhi salam became angry and he said, مَا أَمَرْتُهُمْ بِهَذَا. I have not instructed them to claim this. And this riwayah, we have even corrected the Rijali gradings which have been given on Thaqalain page, because they have mistakenly graded this narration as unreliable. So there are narrators who are claiming divine imamah for Imam Sadiq alayhi salam in Kufa, but when Imam Sadiq alayhi salam is confronted about this, he's asked about this, he says, neither have I taught this doctrine, nor do I believe in it, and nor have I authorized anyone to teach this. So unfortunately, these speakers, either they haven't studied Shia books, or they have read these books and they are in denial, or worse than that, they believe that our Imams, na'udhu billah, were double-faced liars, who one moment would claim divine imamah, another moment would negate it. They were playing games, na'udhu billah, like this. وَمَنْ أَظْلَمُ مِمَّنْ كَتَمَ شَهَادَةً عِنْدَهُ مِنَ اللَّهِ. Who can be a greater zalim than one who conceals and hides testimony that they have from Allah? So if we are claiming that someone is a divinely appointed imam, then they have a testimony from Allah confirming that they are a divinely appointed imam, right? So now for the imam to then deny or conceal this testimony, when people come to ask him, he says, no, my obedience is not obligatory. For the imam to do this in the worldview of the Quran, and remember, every claim that they make, where do we take it? To the Quran. The Imamiyya sect claims that the imams were divinely appointed imams. But then when we show them narrations from their own books where imams are denying this and saying, no, we have not taught this, they say, yeah, they were lying. They were lying out of taqiyya. So they were hiding their divine mandate. Well, what does the Quran say about hiding? Not just divine mandate. Allah says, if you have any testimony from me and you hide it, وَمَنْ أَظْلَمُ مِمَّنْ كَتَمَ شَهَادَةً عِنْدَهُ مِنَ اللَّهِ. Allah says, who can be a greater wrongdoer and oppressor than the one who has a testimony from me and they cover it up and conceal it and hide it? This is the blasphemy that they attribute to our beloved imams. Yani our imams, na'udhu billah, were hiding a testimony, a mandate that they had with Allah, appointing them as Imams of this ummah, but yet they were hiding this, and thereby, na'udhu billah, if we take this claim to the court of the Quran, what does that make our Imams into? It makes them into, wal-'iyadhu billah, the greatest zalimeen in the eyes of Allah. When in reality, our Imams were the greatest sadiqeen of this ummah. Everything from the lives of these Imams that we have read testifies to the fact that they were the most righteous, most God-fearing, God-conscious, and the most truthful people and they were people of taqwa, not people of taqiyya. So choice is yours. You want a model that makes your Imams into zalimeen, or you want a model that makes your Imams into ulama, abrar, atqiya. Are not just ordinary scholars. No. They are righteous and pious scholars. So if you have a problem with ulama, abrar position, your problem is with Imam Sadiq alayhi salam and his most distinguished companions. It's really ironic how on the one hand they claim infallibility of the Imam, and on the other hand their whole doctrine of imama rests on the idea that the Imams, na'udhu billah, are liars who deny their divine mandate when they are asked about it by non-Imamis. So on the one hand they're infallible, on the other hand they also lie. It doesn't take a genius rocket scientist to understand how absurd this paradigm is. And this is why when we reject it ala basira. We don't just reject it like that. And then he goes on to mention something very funny. Even our students were having a good laugh about, which is, he says, I mean, we have 20 to 30 hadith about these matters, if not more. So what have you been reading? I would reverse the question on this and say, what have you been reading? The narrations about tahrif, the 17,000 verses narration in Al-Kafi that claims that the original Quran had 17,000 verses, meaning 2/3 of the Quran is lost. When Allama Majlisi comments on this narration, he says, فَالْخَبَرُ صَحِيحٌ وَلَا يَخْفَى أَنَّ هَذَا الْخَبَرُ وَكَثِيرٌ مِنَ الْأَخْبَارِ الصَّحِيحَةِ صَرِيحَةٌ فِي نَقْصِ الْقُرْآنِ وَتَغْيِيرِهِ وَعِنْدِي أَنَّ الْأَخْبَارَ في هذا الباب متواترة معنى وطرح جميعها يوجب رفع الاعتماد عن الأخبار رأسا بل ظني أن الأخبار في هذا الباب لا يقصر عن أخبار الإمامة فكيف بثبوتها بالخبر. He says, so this narration, it is authentic, and it is no secret that this narration and many other authentic narrations like it are very clear and explicit in stating that the Quran has been abridged, reduced by omission of many of its verses, and that it has been changed. And I am of the view that the akhbar, the narrations about this issue of tahrif, are mutawatir ma'nawi, yani they are mass transmitted within the sectarian Imami corpus, such that rejecting all of them would lead to us losing faith in all the narrations in the Imami corpus. Allama Majlisi is saying, if you're going to reject narrations about tahrif, there are so many of these narrations in the 12-ver Imami hadith corpus that if you're going to dismiss all of them, he says you might as well throw out the entire Imami hadith corpus. Because if so many narrations can be false, then the entire 12-ver Imami hadith corpus gets exposed that even a false concept like tahriful Quran can reach tawatur inside this sectarian corpus. So after that, what value does this sectarian corpus have? Allama Majlisi is arguing. That's why he says that, look, if you don't want to lose faith in this corpus, if you want to protect and preserve the integrity of the 12-ver Imami corpus, you must believe in tahrif. You must accept that the Quran is not the same Quran that was revealed by Allah. This is what devotion and blind allegiance to the sect does to you. Throw the Quran under the bus to protect the integrity of the fabricated sectarian hadith corpus. The hadith compiler Al-Muhaddith al-Nuri collected over 1,122 narrations regarding the issue of tahrif. So this brother here says, I mean, we have 20 to 30 ahadith about these matters, if not more. So what have you been reading? Yeah, this is what I have been reading. And Allama al-Majlisi, remember, he says, in my estimation, the narrations about tahrif are no less than the narrations about imama. That's why he doesn't want to accept that tahrif can be wrong. As he says, Maulana, the day you accept tahrif is wrong, and that means if these can be wrong, then the narrations claiming divine imama can also be wrong. He's saying we have about 20 to 30 ahadith about these matters. Yes, Maulana, and you have over 1,100 ahadith about tahrif. So somehow when you reject the narrations about tahrif, it is okay. And why do you reject the narrations of tahrif? Because they contradict the Quran, right? Same mi'yar we follow. In authentic narrations, that when Imams are asked about divine imama, they deny it. But then in other narrations, they claim it. And how is this reconciled? It's reconciled by claiming that in the narrations in which they are denying it, they are doing taqiyya. Imagine if Musa alayhi salam, when Fir'aun asked him, who are you? He would have said, I'm just an ordinary citizen. I have no divine mandate. Fir'aun would say, Allah, a man did come to me, but when I asked him if he's sent by you, he denied it. So how was I supposed to obey someone who aslan is not even prepared to admit that he's sent by you? It's up to the viewership to decide whose warning they want to take seriously. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam also issued a warning. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, "Ihdharu ala shababikum al-ghulata la yufsidunahum." The Imam alayhi salam says, beware and be very protective of your youths against the ghulat. For Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, the greatest threat for the Shia are not the Muqassira, they are the ghulat. Don't let them corrupt your youths. For certainly, the ghulat are the worst of Allah's creation. They belittle the greatness of Allah. They claim rububiyyah, divine attributes of sustainership for the slaves of Allah. The way so many speakers promote wilayah takwiniyah, this idea that Imams create, Imams sustain, Imams have knowledge of ghaib, all of it with the permission of Allah. They think by saying with the permission of Allah, it makes it fine. We always remind them, the Christians who claimed Isa alayhi salam is a son of God, they said Allah made him a son. Takhadallahu walada. They say Allah has taken a son. Yani their belief was that Isa alayhi salam was made into a son of Allah by Allah's permission. Just adding by Allah's permission to a kufri iftira does not make it tawheed. In this riwayah, the Imam said, Ilayna yarji'ul ghali fala naqbalu. The ghali will try to come to us to seek our favor and approval, fala naqbalu, but we will not accept him. And this narration is accepted by 12 Imami scholars. وَبِنَا يَلْحَقُ الْمُقَصِّرُ فَنَقْبَلُهُ. But the Muqassir may catch up with us and we will accept him. وَإِنَّ الْمُقَصِّرَ إِذَا عَرَفَ عَامِلَ وَأَطَاعَ. Because the Muqassir is only a Muqassir because he has not come across evidence about our stations, about our superiority, for example. When he comes across that evidence, he will accept it. But Imam Sadiq alayhi salam is not making a big deal about such Muqassirin. He's saying such Muqassirin are fine. Even if they don't recognize our station, it's not like our station is part of the Aqidah of the Quran. It's just a historical, social, political position which is good to have. But if a person doesn't accept it, it's not like he's going to be deprived of salvation. When it comes to Aqidah required for salvation, Quran has given very clear lists. You have to believe in Allah, His angels, messengers, scriptures, last and final day of judgment. There's no divine imama or khilafa or khulafa rashidin. These are not aspects of Aqidah. These are historical issues. It's good if you have the correct opinion, but if you don't have the correct opinion, it's not like you're going to go to hell for it.